I think this quietness is really to reflect how much energy was expended. So it's also a reflection of all these impulses and all these plans and wishes, and that they're just on a flat line, and the images meet there. Yeah, I think. Yeah. Alain, he chose the conductor, and we tried different versions. Mm-hmm. And it's the only, I think, the piece of music that he's not touching, because in the slow section, he's also adding other sounds, stretching and changing a little bit. I don't know, Karajan, I think.
Dice no, sicuramente è stato il suo consigliere musicale a proporre vari direttori, varie versioni, ne hanno provate varie e alla fine hanno aggiunto anche degli altri suoni ulteriori, e questo che avete sentito è il risultato di vari esperimenti.
So, what's the role of dance, and how dance can be a special place to make research on this, and what's the responsibility and the privileged role that dance can have in our society to talk about those themes?
Gli ha chiesto tutto dell'universo mondo.
La danza è un luogo privilegiato per condividere, per avere compassione, cosa che lui dice negli ultimi anni di lavoro è ben presente nella mano creativa di Meg Stuart.
I'm sure I'm one of many that think this way, but I mean, I think we're very much out of our bodies. I mean, maybe what I say is not so unique right now. Others are saying it, but with being always wired and connected, but we're connected to who and to what, and how are we dealing with space? How are we dealing with each other? Where are we in terms of our presence? And how are we valuing that? So in one sense, we're split all the time because we're feeling very connected somehow through this, through media, through, our faces are there. We're, as you know, this discourse, but at the same time, and there's something great in that also, in terms of we feel connected to people on the other side of the world, and people are having voices, which normally there's, movements can take place through social media and so on. But how are we doing with the local? How are we dealing with ourselves? And also, I think there are a lot of people in, I don't know, physical, emotional pain. I don't know, I don't say I don't want to make it too dramatic, but just not feeling, again, either out of their body or not feeling really at home in their body, either really through terms of circumstances, because they're ruptured, they're displaced, they're somewhere where they feel disoriented and not welcome or included, or they, they're in a kind of habit or routine and they're not feeling really with their bodies. And also, I think anytime there's an effort to get people more physical and there's all this marketing around, this is the outfit, you need to do yoga, or you need to run, but you need to do it in this direction, and you need to, how you need to move and how you need to feel at peace or physical with yourself. And I think there's much more license and play and terms of how we can move. And I'm not saying, improvisation is the answer for everyone, but I think there's yeah, I just feel like there's still other spaces that dance, if it somehow would move, still be honored in the theater, but also be able to move more in our like contemporary dance in our world, that it would affect people, because it gets them closer to their sensations, and it also realizes that they have their own language and they don't have to follow something. And I don't know exactly how that can happen, but those are some wishes. I mean, I guess it's why I feel that there's a necessity. I mean, in a more, we get softer, we get more, I mean, that's the way things go, let's say, not to make it heavy. And I think there's naturally a kind of compassion is part of that process as well. And that's, yeah.
Once you've gathered your raw material, how do you edit it? Is it instinctively? Do you have any particular aesthetic principles? And is it a painful process or is it a joyous one?
Maybe that's why it was interesting, the topic of hoarding, because sometimes it's not too easy. Yeah, there's this thing about energy. If something I feel has, if I start to enter in something and I feel like there's no energy, I'm not talking about physical energy, but if it doesn't feel either complex enough or there's not energy in it, then it starts to drift away by a kind of selection on its own. I read a lot of the dancers, not that I'm trying to please them, but I can see what's specific for those people. So maybe it's a good idea or interesting material, but it's not really fitting exactly those performers or that the chemistry of that group. I'm quite a scavenger, I would say. So, like, again, for me, side tracks are tracks, and there's no lost material. Doesn't mean that they're all in the work, but, I have this thing, like, for every thing that exists, there's a copy that's hidden. Everything that's visible, there's a copy that's hidden. So somehow, I try to compress as much as possible. So I use all the experiences, all the inputs, and all the work, and if I can compress it into a form, then I'm happy. But ultimately, it's there's no real. It's quite intuitive at this point.
Questa biennale è molto femminile, una direttrice donna, 2 leonesse e oltretutto poco fa ho visto anche la classe della Biennale College, quella delle danzatrici, sono tutte ragazze per scelta proprio della direttrice. Uno, a che punto siamo con questo genio femminile, sia come dal punto di vista delle coreografie, eccetera. La seconda cosa invece, lei come americana, anche dal suo paese, si sta muovendo a partire dal movimento Me Too, anche soprattutto dalle star di Hollywood, si stanno muovendo tante artiste per riaffermare insomma un po' alcuni diritti che forse ci si è dimenticati. Come questi due aspetti, quello artistico e quello anche umano. Grazie.
I think it's fantastic that, the coordinator of this festival is a woman and that there's so many women in this program. I don't want to say it's about time, because maybe dance is one place where women have a strong voice, but yeah, I don't see it as a privilege. When you say the privilege of that, I feel the work speaks, but there's so many, so many strong female choreographers and artists in this field, and to see them honored, in all levels, I'm very, very happy, and for them to show their work. And in related to Me Too, I think it's really powerful that that women are speaking up in situations where they felt either afraid, or they didn't, either because of their work or because of the situation, they couldn't speak about intolerable situations, and I think it's I think it's not, it's just the tip of it. I'm sure that it's still more to more anger. There's a lot of anger, and there's still more that needs to the lid still it's still in process, I would say. Sometimes I start to question where are the limits. I don't know, say if there's a limit, but if some things have happened in certain precise situations, then do colleagues have the ability to shut down an artist or anyone, and just say, and where do they go? How can we imagine, where do these people go? Where do they just retire? Do they go under a rock? Like, I start to question a little bit, like, as we start to put justice in our own hands, and this kind of bashing of others. I'm talking in like an artistic field, which maybe I know some who have been Me Too. But I feel like that needs to be somehow questioned, like where, because otherwise you don't believe in a justice system, or you don't believe that, that people, things can happen a certain moment, but time is changing and people change, and, a general belief for people to mean well. And every case is different, but overall I think it's a very powerful and very strong movement, and I support it.
I would like to know, on what are you working now? This is the first question. The second question is about space. I've seen not so many works, but the collective ones always have a special space, like a box, like the one we saw yesterday, where you put something special that you want to, I don't know, if to put in result or no. But every time you have this box or a special place, almost every time, because I did not see all your work. By the way, how many pieces did you, collective pieces, did you sign till now? And the last question is, where is the country, which is the country where your work is more visible? Because not Italy, for sure. So, which is the country? 3 or 4 questions, I don't remember. I don't remember.
Well, I'll start with the last one first, because it's can handle that one. Another one, okay. I would say my work is mostly seen in Belgium and in Germany. So the company is based in Belgium. There's a lot of visibility there. we show all the work there, but not in all the major cities there. And I also have an ongoing artistic relationship with a theater in Berlin where I live. And so I very consistently show my work in Berlin and in Germany on the whole. I will do a small program in the summer called Solos and Duets, where I take parts of existing pieces and put them together, very, without much set, but with live music. Including the solo that wasn't built to last by Maria Scaroni, which is nice. So I like to work in larger scales, but also in the smaller scales, and just to see how that shifts and changes the work. I'm not sure if there's always a box. We might be talking about Alibi, an older piece where there was also a box. It's possible. I enjoy working with stage designers, and I have had a long dialogue with Doris Zurk, who made this piece. I don't know. I like the sense that there's a space that you can kind of read or recognize elements, but it shifts over time. So you have a different kind of reading throughout the piece that it's transforming, and you can see it in different ways. But I don't know about the boxes. Maybe it's interesting, the idea that the dancers kind of hijack the view, like they take over and they're able to watch what's going on, or a space within a space is something that comes up. And your other question?
Was about, if I'm not wrong, you also work a little bit in Switzerland or a little bit with Marceglia.
Yes, I worked with Marthaler in Zurich.
Explain a little bit your relationship with this huge and important director, beautiful director.
Yes. Yes, I was invited with other directors to work together in Christoph Marthaler's theater in Zurich. He's he's a really wonderful person. I think he's a really brilliant artist, but I really enjoyed watching how he created this family spirit with his actors, and the way he would be in rehearsals and not much would be happening, the way they would just sit through the time. I can't say that he was shaping boredom, but this emptiness and this waiting, and how when finally one small gesture would appear, or one look, or someone would do something, how much it would stand out. So I think the way he was speaking to his company and this use of time is something that I really admire and was kind of studying while I had the chance to work alongside him.
What is it dance for you? And the second one, how do you think how dance can help us to be more tolerant towards each other and to unite people in general?
Sometimes I think dance, but then I also think I'd rather talk about movement, like what moves us and what is moving us all the time, and what, even when we're still, and again, what connects us and what creates collective movements or collective changes or collective shifts. What are those forces at work that where all of a sudden something is different or there's a different perspective? in dance, I'm very interested in how our perception shifts what's happening, even if nothing else is changing. Like how we look at it, how we perceive it, how that alters and affects movement. Again, kind of modulating presence, like the inner world or the inner life. While people are dancing interests me, and also kind of all that's happening when people are not dancing, how that again is influencing what they're doing. Yeah, but yeah, I continue to explore it, and I still have the sense that I'm still discovering what dance is and what it can be. And the other question, how it can unite us? I don't know, it has been. We've been doing these collective dances from the end of time. I mean, we go dancing on the weekend. You know, that thing of it's a really, it's how we express ourselves in terms of, I think it's a really, I don't know. I love to watch dance performances anyway, even if I'm occupied with it all day long. And when they're working, it gives me a space. Gives me a space to dream, and I feel that again. I like my nervous system, my body is resonating with what's happening. Yeah.
Grazie.
Grazie.
Grazie a voi.